want to be, it's prime time with George Dorunda. Tonight, 5-time Grammy Award winner Jimmy Sturr and the Jimmy Sturr Band. So get ready for the most entertaining show on television. Hi, I'm George Dorunda, and welcome to Primetime. And before we go any further, I'd like to point something out, that in many areas, or markets as we call them in the industry, we are seen opposite many of the nighttime big money versions of various game shows. So I'd like to open up the show by saying $25,000! Or how about $50,000? No, we're not going to give it away. Heck, we're not even going to spend it. But I think the words themselves lend a certain excitement to the proceedings. So, hey, it doesn't cost anything. Let's be exciting. And speaking of excitement, my guest on the big program today is the best clarinet player in the country. No, he didn't get that way from practicing. He owns the biggest bus. And here he is to perform a selection from one of his Grammy Award-winning compact discs. It's Jimmy Sturr and the Jimmy Sturr Band.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the history of polka music, no band except one has received 2 gold records and 1 platinum record for its sales. And no band in the history of polka music except one has played multiple times in New York's Lincoln Center and Carnegie Hall. And there's only one band that's received the Grammy Award 5 years in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, America's #1 polka band, Jimmy Sturr and his orchestra.
Well, Jimmy, welcome to Prime Time.
George, good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Let's see, Sturr in Sturbridge, is that appropriate?
I'm not sure whether I got my name from the city or the city might have gotten the name from me. No, I'm not.
But the two namesakes come together.
Yeah.
Now let's see, it's 5 Grammys.
5 Grammys, yeah.
And also the biggest bus. Is there any correlation between the biggest and best polka band having the biggest and best bus?
George, I don't really know. I've had a bus. This is about my 4th bus that I've had. We started out, I remember coming to the New England states and using my father's station wagon with a little trailer behind it. Then I got into a van and then a motorhome, and then I started on the buses.
And you've worked your way up.
Yeah. This bus is in particular quite nice. You know, it's got all the luxuries, television and videos and running water and everything. I bought it. I've had it about a little over a year, and I bought it from Kenny Rogers.
Oh, so this was once owned by the great Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
And passed down from celebrity to celebrity.
Do you think when the next guy buys this, they wouldn't say that it was owned one time by the great Jimmy Sturr? They wouldn't say that.
I don't know why not. Depends who buys the bus.
Maybe, yeah.
Or are you going to sell it back to Kenny Rogers?
I might sell it back to Kenny. No, I don't think he'd want
Maybe Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson.
It'll be more in his price range.
You know what's nice, George? On the bus, you know, in the front of the bus is where you get your name in the front. Mm-hmm. You know, they all turn. And on this, of course, is Kenny Rogers, but there's also a couple other names that used the bus when Kenny wasn't using it. Willie Nelson's name is on it. The name Sally Rose is on it, and that's a nickname for Emmylou Harris. So she also used it, and a rock group called Journey used to use it. So the bus got its use.
It got its mileage.
Yeah, it got its mileage.
Just pick a name and sell it back.
Yeah.
At some point in time in the future.
Sometimes we often laugh. You know, you be going along and all these truckers, especially when we're out in the Midwest and stuff, they'll start trying to talk to us on the CB, and they'll say, "Gee, who you got in that bus?" Well, what we do is, you know, because I've never heard of the Jimmy Sturr band, we'll just turn that thing and we'll say
you
Willie
can't
Nelson.
Be so sure.
We'll say Willie Nelson. Oh man, let me talk to him. You know, and of course he's not really in the bus, but
well, he's flying from town to town.
No, believe it or not, he in particular always buses it. A lot of the other guys. That's why Kenny got rid of his bus, because you know, he does all flying now.
And you're originally from the Springfield area?
Well, not really. My mother's originally from this area, Springfield area. My dad is from the town I live in, Florida, New York. And the way everybody connects it, of course, my mother here, my dad was a pilot in the Air Force, and he was overseas, and my mother, when it was time to have little Jimmy, came back to Springfield. So I was born in Mercy Hospital, but actually I've never really lived here.
You've never lived in the Springfield area?
Well, maybe a couple days, those first few days of life.
Well, it could still qualify you.
Yeah, it could. But I live in a little town in upstate New York, right outside of West Point, and it's got about 1,700 people. In fact, I've lived there all my life, in the same house, in the same room, still at home with my parents. And I enjoy it. It's a very small town, yet it's close to everything. It's 70 miles from New York. There's a lot of interstates that are in the area, so it's a nice area to live in.
And what does a 5-time Grammy winner do in his spare time?
Well, 5-time Grammy winner, there should be no spare time. But if I do get any, I do a lot. I do a lot of sports. I have other businesses that I try to run when I'm off the road. You know, we have a record company that such names as like the Krieger Band and Chet Dragon, who is in the Massachusetts area, Bobby Vinton, Myron Florin, all record for, and we own that. And the offices are back in Florida, New York.
And you also have several video productions on the market?
Yeah, we have, what do we have, 4, I think. 3, no, 4. God, I can't remember. The first one we did, Polka Time USA, then we did another one, Polka Magic, When It's Polka Time at Your House. Then we did a very interesting one. It's a 2-hour video, and it was filmed in our hometown about 2 years ago, and it's called the Onion Harvest Festival. Just a little background on that. Florida, New York is the onion capital of the world. We grow about 30% of the world's onions. And it only happens every 5 years, this onion festival, and there's about 300 people that are involved in it, and they're little children from 4 years old right up to the older people in their 80s. They all participate in this Orange County Onion Harvest Festival, and what it is are all the traditional dances plus the chorus and the music, and it's a 2-day event. And last year, each day they had between 35 and 40,000 people, so it was quite an event, but it only happens every 5 years.
Well, as Chicopee is famous for its Kielbasa Festival.
Yeah, you know, that's one of my favorite jobs. I mean, I enjoy it. The people are nice, and there's always huge crowds, and we play it every September. And I enjoy playing. I really do. It's fun and it's exciting. It's always a good time.
Do you find people are more responsive around your hometown or when you go out on the road?
Well, you know, it's funny you asked that, George. When I was growing up, of course, I had all my idols, you know, the Connecticut Twins, Gene Wisniewski, Frank Wojnarowski, Ray Henry, just all of the big bands, and I always enjoyed them. And I just caught sort of the tail end of their era. And I used to talk to them, and people like the Connecticut Twins would say, they bigger crowds, and they used to draw big crowds wherever they went, except right in their little area. And I think that was true with all the bands. Al Soyka used to tell me the same thing. He'd go out on the road and he'd get huge crowds. I'm sort of lucky because when I play in my area, we draw just tremendous crowds, but probably the reason is because I really don't get to play around my area that much. I probably play maybe 3 times a year, and most of them are like in a concert in a local concert hall where we're there with our whole orchestra and dancers and singers and things like that, and we always sell it out.
I noticed on your record albums, most of your records are mixed in Nashville.
Yeah, I enjoy Nashville. Now, Nashville is, there's just something about that city musically you just cannot capture anywhere else. I do the band, I actually record that in New York City. Then I take the tracks, the master tapes, and I take those to Nashville. And I had our good friends, the Jordanaires, and I'll mix it down there. But there's just something about the sound you get in that studio. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of excitement. People walk in, walk out, and you'd be surprised how many people in the country field are Polish. And they'll come in, when they hear we're recording, they'll come in, and they enjoy the polkas. One that sticks in my mind is Marty Robbins. Now, who would think Marty Robbins is Polish, but his real name was Rubinski, and he's half Indian and half Polish. And he used to come in, his office was right next door to the studio that we used. In fact, it was owned by Porter Wagner, who also enjoys the polka music. And there's several others, and they'll just come in, and they really enjoy the polka music.
Is there any other music similar to polka music?
Yeah, you know, it's a coincidence you say that. Just recently, we've tied, I enjoy Cajun music. It's got that flair towards the polka music, and of course Cajun music all comes from Louisiana, down around Lafayette. And about 1.5 years ago, the band played in New Orleans and Lafayette, Louisiana, right in the heart of this Cajun. And a lot of the people said, "Come on, we're going to take you to a Cajun party." And we went to this party, and I mean, it was just like a polka party. The music is so similar. They have the accordion, they have, of course, the fiddle, they have the drums, and just similar. But the beat is very close to the polka. So last year we tried near our area what we call the Cajun Polka Fest, and the crowds were fantastic. We thought, well, we're going to try this again, and we did it again last year, and it was the same amount of people. So this past year, this past June, in fact, we had a 2-day Cajun festival, and it was just exciting. And a lot of polka people love the Cajun music, and a lot of the Cajun people love the polka music. So it was quite a good blend.
Well, I noticed you have a fiddle in your group. Do you kind of pattern certain styles after Cajun music?
Well, you know, I tend to think, and maybe somebody doesn't agree with me, but I tend to think that most of the bands, or a lot of the bands in the polka field anymore, sort of sound alike. I mean, you know, they play the same songs. Until they start singing, you really can't tell the difference between the bands. And I wanted to think of something that was going to make me different from all of these other bands. So whether they liked it or not, when they heard it on the radio, or when they come to hear the band in person, they hear that music of the Jimmy Sturr Band, and they know it's a Jimmy Sturr Band.
You want to have your own unique sound.
Right, and I think a fiddle is part of my sound. You know, I feature the fiddle quite a lot. He's a great fiddler. And then I feature the band a lot, not only on polkas, but we do rock, we'll do American. We're on the road a lot with Bobby Vinton. We're on a lot with Myron Florin. So the band can do just about anything. In fact, we're coming to your area in December 8th. We'll be at Symphony Hall in Springfield. It'll be our whole Christmas show. And it's about 100 people in the cast, including not only the band, but also Myron Florin.
And what kind of music do you like to listen to when you're not playing polkas?
Well, I really enjoy the polkas. If I'm in the bus traveling someplace, I'll always ask, see if we can find some polkas on the radio. And if we can, I tend to go towards country. I rather listen to country than, I like big band. I like almost all types of music. I'm not fond of heavy metal. But you know, I can accept any type of music except that.
As long as it's done well.
As long as it's done well. That's the answer.
And getting to the Grammys, what was your first record album that won a Grammy?
Oh, you're going back too far for me, George. Let me think. I Remember Warsaw.
It's 5 consecutive years, correct?
Yeah, 5 consecutive years. We're right now in the top 10 all-time Grammy Awards consecutive list. Aretha Franklin is ahead of us. Henry Mancini, I think, has 6. And there's a couple others. But our first one was I Remember Warsaw. I think that was back in, what, 86? I think it was 86. And we did, the next one was A Polka Just For Me. And then we went to Born to Polka. And which one? I'm missing one. Oh, All of My Love for You, and then this past year for When It's Polka Time at Your House. Now we have a new one that was just released several months ago, and it's called Live at Gillies. We played down at Gillies in Houston, Texas, and it was a huge nightclub, and we recorded a live album there, and that just came out on the market. Would you prefer recording live to recording in the studio? Don't you get that live feel? Yeah, we do. I still prefer. I think I prefer in the studio because, of course, when you're live, if you make a mistake, that mistake is there for the rest of your life. You can't change that little devil. And tell the primetime viewers, is this next one going to be Grammy number 6? It's hard to say, George. I have to say it's a great album. It's probably, in fact, people say that it's probably the best album that we've ever done. There's about 15 tunes on it. Not only polkas, there's a couple big band, there's a couple country things. So, you know, you just can't tell. You really can't. And if you could make any one change in the polka business, what would it be? To have my own national television show. That would be my only change. I would like to have a polka show. And if I couldn't be the host of it, I wish somebody else could get it. And I think that would really help promote the polka music. Do you think it'll ever happen? Well, we have a television show that's just starting to air on a new network out of out of Dallas, Texas. It'll be on national. You have to have a dish to be able to get it, and I think it's going to start airing on Thursday nights. I think it's like 8:30 at night or something like that. But it's a half-hour show. We filmed it already, and we have special guests every week. Speaking of enjoying country, we have like a Mel Tillis, we have Billy Joe Royal, Jerry Lee Lewis. Who else? The Kendalls, Bill Anderson. Plus we have the Polish dancers on there. We feature the band. It's quite an exciting half-hour show. There's a lot packed right into the 30 minutes. A virtual carnival of entertainment. Yeah. I'll tell you something that I was interested in. I'm really excited about. Just recently, we thought we did a Christmas album which is coming out for this holiday season, and on it was a tune called Trumpeter's Prayer. And we have a guy in the band who's a great trumpet player. His name is Eric Parks, and we did this on it. It really came out great, and we thought, well, let's try it on its own. So we went and released it as a single cassette. And it's called Trumpeter's Prayer, and we're really fortunate that a lot of the pop stations around the whole country are starting to play it. And we're getting a lot of feedback, and most of the best part don't even know we're a polka band. We don't want to tell them that because if we say that to them, they're liable to say, well, we don't play polkas. So we just let it go. In fact, several of the stations in the Springfield area are playing it. Do you find certain radio stations or broadcasters shy away from your group because you're a polka band? You mean, even though you can play all styles? A middle of the road station or a middle of the road station? Yeah, they do. They don't like to hear the word polka. I think it's stereotyped. They don't realize how good the musicians really are. Not only in my band. I'm talking about a lot of the other polka bands. They've got some great musicians. In fact, some of the bands of old had fantastic musicians. But it's just they always think that word polka, and I think they just think the wrong way. You know, they might picture the old fat tuba player or the oompa bands, and the old 78 records. Right. And it's hard to get away from that. Well, of course, you have CDs, and there aren't too many polka groups that have CDs on the market. Well, you know, I think there's a good reason for it. We've got 2 out, and there's other bands that have several out. Probably the polka field has always been several years behind the rock field. Now, of course, the first ones to put something out is rock. The next one's a country, and we're always third. We're probably tied with jazz or something. But up until just recently, in the polka field, they're still selling 8-tracks. And really, they're still selling albums. not as many as cassettes. You know, up until probably 6 or 7 months ago, it was probably like 60% cassette and 40% album. Now it's gone to maybe 80-20, something of that nature. But the CDs are always behind. But I think you can see it where they're starting to ask for CDs a lot more.
And what are the future plans for Jimmy Sturr?
Well, you know, I just want to keep plugging for things like the national television show. You know, we're on the road a lot. Maybe win another Grammy or two.
Then you need a bigger bus to carry all those Grammys around.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to win that many. My main thing is I'd love to have my own television show nationally. You know, either a national cable or something national.
Well, and here you are on Primetime.
Primetime.
Jimmy.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
It's been fun.
I've heard a lot about you, and all good, I might add. And
who we've been talking to.
Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you that. But it's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be on the show.
Hey, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
How do you like that, folks? Week after week after week, top quality entertainment for you, the home viewers. Hey, we'll be right back with Willard and the weather.
We pledged our allegiance to it when we were young. We studied its importance when we were in our teens. We sing its praises at every sporting event. We display it when we celebrate, lower it when we mourn, and honor our heroes with it when they've fallen. It stands for what we are and what we believe in. How we treat it says a lot about us.
Yes, folks, we've assembled another fine American television program for you here tonight. And hey, you know, this wireless microphone, it does add, no pun intended, a new dimension to Primetime. And hey, are we ready? Yes, it's the Jimmy Sturr Band performing Hey, Pretty Girl. Oh!
Pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? Can't you see how happy I would be? One time around the floor, then maybe we'll dance once more. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? One time around the floor, then maybe we'll dance once more. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? I've been standing here the whole night through. I can't take my eyes off of you. Please don't let me stand, let me take you by the hand. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? Please don't let me stand, let me take you by the hand. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? Hey, woo-hoo! Please don't make me wait. Let's start dancing before it gets too late. The band is playing our favorite song. Come on, sweetheart, dance along. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? The band is playing our favorite song. Come on, sweetheart, dance along. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you dance with me? Now we're swaying to this happy beat. I'm with my pretty girl, she is very sweet. Singing, dancing, soon we'll be romancing. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you marry me? Singing, dancing, soon we'll be romancing. Hey, pretty girl, oh, won't you marry me? Hey, woo-hoo!
Yes, Jimmy Sturr and the Jimmy Sturr Band. And what better way to close out the big program than with Eric Parks and his rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Hey, we've got to go, folks. We've had too much fun. Good night, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the luckiest people in the world because we do live in the greatest country in the world. But I'll never understand why anybody would want to burn the flag of the United States of America.